Okay, so I went ahead using my gouge and I did the form the way that I wanted it right here with the opening. And what I did the form, then I used one of my carbide cutting tools, which I have right here. And I did just a shear scrape, real light. And I got this moist with mineral spirits, and like I said, I did the shear cut. I can get away now with about 120, maybe 150 right in here. A little bit of tear out, but not much. Very clean, very good looking, and ready to start hollowing. Okay, and I'll worry about sanding this later. I don't sand until the project is complete on the inside in case something goes wrong. I don't want to waste my time, sanding. Now, what I have with high-speed steel is this teardrop cutter. And you can see right here, it has a point. I start off with this one, and you can see the arm is like this snake, this S shape. And I bring that back like this, so it's pointing back a little bit. And I'm only going to concentrate on this part of the hollow form, from about right here to right here. That's all. And then I'll come back with you, but I'm going to go ahead. I turn my laser on. See the little red dot in my hand. Okay. And I set my cutter, and I go ahead and I set that light to the wall thickness that I want. And up at the top I leave it fairly thick because I'm going to use the round cutter later to smooth it out. But right now I'm just getting rid of the bulk of the material. So I go ahead and I tighten it up and turn it on. Now this is dried. This is pretty darn dry. So what I do is I have some mineral spirits in this rechargeable spray can. I'll leave you the links on everything below. But what I do is I start it slow, shoot it in here, give it a few minutes to soak. That will make the high-speed cutter cut this much easier. See the red light's right here. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to blow this out. I'm going to clear out all that shavings. Now, I can feel in here, and that's got a nice thin wall thickness, right from about here forward, just the way I want it. Now, I'm going to reset the cutter to more of a 90-degree angle here. So, loosen this up. Just like that. I'm going to reset my laser. Like I said, I'm going to leave it a little on the thick side because I'll use the round later to clean it up. Got everything good. Now I'm going to bring the camera around so you can see the laser light. And I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. All right, I'm going to shut it off and I'm going to blow it out. Get all the gook off of here, all the junk. Somebody asked me, what do you use for a blowgun? I use Coil House. These are very powerful blowguns. Let me show you an advertisement here while I blow this thing out. Now these Coil House blowguns are incredibly powerful. It'll shoot stuff clear across your driveway. I've had one. It stands up forever, so I definitely would buy it again. All right, so back to this. Do two things just to make the cutting easier on really dry wood. Shoot some mineral spirits in here. Doesn't matter how much, it'll dry up, but it makes the cutting that much easier. It gives it like a lubricant. Okay, now down here I'm going to switch over to the round part of this cutter. And again, I'm going to set it in that kind of pointing back this way because I want to clean up this area here, and then I'll reset it again. So I go ahead, I reset my laser light because I want to make sure I don't blow through the side. It has happened, so try not to do that. I set it a little tighter than what I did before. To me, it doesn't have to be exact. We're playing around, we're having a good time. And I go ahead, I tighten this up. So now this is going to smooth it out, almost like you use sandpaper in there. See the light, when it starts to drift off, I know that I'm down close to that depth. I want to push my luck. Okay, so now I'm going to blow this off. I'm going to loosen it up. Bring it out to almost a 90-degree angle again. I'm sure other people do this differently. This is what works for me, so this is the way I like doing it. To each their own, you know. If you want to do it differently, you can, but like I said, it's just the way I choose to do it. So, okay, so back on. And I know I left off about right here. I'm going to go real lightly. Okay, real lightly. You don't want to push too hard, you'll go right through it. Now you want to double check, am I close to the bottom where I want to be? First I use my finger and I feel the sidewalls. Yeah, they are nice. They're the same thickness and it goes all the way to there. Now, if you remember my last video, I showed you a depth gauge right here. There's the 2x2 and a dowel running through it. So I can use this too. It tells me I'm right there. So I'll make a mark so I know when I'm working on the bottom. So hold that up to here again. That's the bottom. There you go. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to readjust the cutter on here one more time, the round one, because now I want to make this like a little concave right here on the bottom, and that'll pretty much finish this up. So you'll see I put that cutter at more of a straighter angle now than the snake tool, and I've already squirted in some of the mineral spirits. Okay, you see that cutter is set at a different angle now. About right in here is where I have the light set. Okay, there's the light right there. And there's the bottom. And I just want to work on this little transition right here. That's it. Now I'll shut this off. I'll be back with you in just a sec. I'm not sure how much the camera caught, but this cutter, I set the point of the teardrop here when I'm first hollowing, and then 90 degrees, then I set it this way to catch this bottom curvature, roughing it out. Then I switch back to this, and after I shoot mineral spirits in here, now I'm down to very light cuts using the round part, and I do the same thing, pointing it back like up this way to catch this lip in here. Then 90 degree gets most of this, then like it is here with the round part sticking almost, it's not straight, almost that way, and then I put my laser over here on the edge, and that gives me nice smooth curvature in through the bottom. I leave the bulk of the material on here to support it in the hollowing. Sometimes there is a lot of torque that's in this wood and a lot of pressure, And some people don't like using four jaw chucks. I do. I mean, these are jumbo jaws, kind of. Holds it real secure as long as you made the tenon correctly. Anyway, it's another topic, I suppose. But now I'm ready to go ahead and finish out the bottom. I'll taper this down, and then we'll take a look at the sanding. Now, when it comes to the sanding, like I said, with real sharp tools, I you know, sometimes 100, 120, sometimes 150. I can still see some real light tear out because this is dry mesquite. Mesquite's always got some tear out, but I like to get rid of as much of it as I can because it's less sanding. So I think probably I'll start around 120 on this. The other project, when you watch me in the past videos, I was able to get it clean enough to start around 150. It doesn't matter. Sandpaper is a tool like everything else, so I'll be back with you when I'm at that point, and we'll talk about how I sand. All right, with these sanding pads on my drill, like I showed you in the last video, I go ahead and I sand this like this. This one's easier. It doesn't have anything intricate where I have to do by hand. So this is nice right here. So I did 120, 150, and I cleaned it off real well with a blowgun. Now I'm going to spritz it with some water. I want to raise the grain. So just like this. All right. I'll be back with you as soon as the water dries. All right, time's gone by, it's dry, so now I'm going to go back with the 150 now that I've raised the grain and sand it for just a little bit. And you can do this with this hook and loop disc if you want to. It's a very small project, I'm just going to do it by hand. And like I said in the past video, as you go through the grits, you'll go faster on the sanding. Doesn't take as long. Now you get your dollar store reading glasses and you look at this real carefully, turn it by hand, make sure you got out all the previous grits marks, look for any imperfections, any chip out, anything that doesn't look good. Takes you a few minutes with 150 to sand them out. If you've got to go backwards to like 80 or 100, you can, and get out all of the marks. You want to make this as perfectly smooth as you can for the finish. And this looks really good. So I'm going to clean this off. I blow it off. I have a blowgun, coil house, like I said earlier. 150, I'm going to go to 220, I'm going to go to 320, I'm going to go to 400, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, I finished with 320. Now I'm going to go to 400. Now from 150 up, when I get done sanding with the 150 as the lathe spinning, I stop it. I sand with the grain. It's like this, and I go all around it, then I move on to the next grit. So I did that with the 320, and I sanded with the grain. Now I've got the 400. It's about 250, 300 RPMs, if you want to know. I don't press hard, I let the sandpaper do the work. That's the 400. Now I just go around it like this, sand with the grain, because the grain's running like this. It doesn't take long. This takes just a few seconds, a few minutes maybe. I mean, look at it with your reading store glasses. Okay, now I blow this off. So now what I do is I soak this with mineral spirits, just like this. Say, well, you cleaned it off. Yep, but doesn't mean that it was that clean. And you can see there, picked up a lot of junk off of there. So now I've got the surface super clean. Now we're ready to go ahead and we're starting to put on the finish work. And the question is now, what kind of a finish do you want to put on there? I'm going to use an oil finish, and I put just a little bit of amber colored stain with it. So let's just see what happens. I'm always experimenting around with the finishes. Yeah, that looks all right. It looks pretty good. I'm going to let that sit, maybe not even 15 minutes. The wood may soak in this very quickly, in which case I want to keep it wet for the full 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'll rub it off. You can see right here it's already starting to get dry, and that's just from the moment we've been talking. So all right, I'll be back with you about 20 minutes. All right, so where are we with our project? I went ahead and I took it off the lathe. It's been about an hour, and that oil has soaked in and it is dry. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna apply it again, and I'll do that, and then I'll let it sit till tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. Now, after I've applied the 2 or 3 coats, right now most of these have 3 coats. I'll let it sit for 4 or 5 days, and then I go ahead and I start thinking about how I want to complete the finish. I mean, do I want to use wipe-on poly like you saw in a previous video? If I do that, I'll put on the seal coat first. 2 coats usually is what I put on. Then I put on the poly, sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 coats. I just keep looking at it until I get it the way that I want it. Now, the other option is, a lot of times I took a look at the wood, like with this one right here. I probably am just going to go ahead, I'll denub it with that 3M gray pad. Like I said, that's about 400 to 600 grit in terms of sandpaper. I just denib it lightly, and then I'll put a coat of wax on it and I'll buff it, and then it's done. And I'm going to make a top for this, finial top, like, here we go. Like I said in the previous video, they call these finials. It's just a top for them. This one goes on a different project, but you know, these right here, they're nice when they have the tops. People seem to like them. And like I said, this is all in fun, so stay tuned. I mean, we'll keep doing more, and I'll do different finishes and I'll go through it in detail. But for right now, I mean, this is just a matter of me putting oil on. Now, almost all the time I put oil on. I mean, I like it. I like the way that it makes the wood look. And then you can decide from there. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You could do any kind of finish you want, and there are tons of videos out there. But these are kind of simple finishes in a way. The videos that I do can be a little bit long, but once you go through the steps, you know, and you do this a couple of times, it's not that bad. It actually goes fairly quickly. Anyway, I'm the Home Handyman, and I hope you click subscribe. Drop me a comment below if you like these kinds of videos, and I'll keep giving you some tips, tricks, and you know, we'll have some fun, and I'll do more in terms of finishing and wood turning. And I'll see you on the next video. You folks have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.